think it was on after the Arona try was quite simple for Wakefield. Did you feel like in that last 10 minutes after that try that the comeback was on to be completed?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because this is always the danger when a team has clocked off, as Cass kind of had. So I don't know. I always felt that Cass had the measure of them, but at the same time, it wouldn't have surprised me if Wake had snatched it at the end, because they considering what was coming up for the rest of the weekend, I thought the fact that they didn't just pack up and go home was definitely to their credit.
Yeah, and they had a couple of great chances. One in particular, the Matautia tackle on Jones Bishop is probably one of the moments of the weekend for their team.
Yeah, undoubtedly. But yeah, they had a pretty good end to the weekend as well.
Fair dues. Let's move on to the second game then, which was also that night. One of the games that we'll have a little bit less to know and say of, but it was the London Broncos hosting the Catalan Dragons. It was relatively close in the first half, but signs of things to come at 14-0 to Catalan. It finished 39 points to 6 for the Dragons, so comprehensive victory. The reported crowd figure is 2,153 for this one, and Tom Grant was your referee. In terms of the stats, the crucial metre stats were heavily in Catalan's favour. Over 400 more metres, over 1 metre per carry better average gain. Les Drax also made more clean breaks, although with that count being 13 to 10, you would probably have expected some more scoring from London than just the one try, especially with Catalans conceding 4 more penalties and having a 3% worse team tackle success rate. Individually, Matt Whitley, 2 tries, 1 try assist, 5 tackles, 127 metres and 3 clean breaks. Sam Mower, playing in the centre, Matt Whitley was. Sam Mower, 117 metres, although we'll talk more about Sam Mower in a bit, I think. Sammy Semilangi, 2 try assists, 144 metres, 3 successful offloads. And Lewis Tierney, 1 try, 6 tackles, 118 metres. Just a couple of players jumping off the stat sheet for the Broncos. Reece Williams, 6 tackles, 159 metres, 3 clean breaks. I think a lot of those meters will have come on his try.
Yep.
And then we also... Oh, no, sorry, he didn't score the try, did he? It was Marchioni who scored the try with the break. And then Elwar Plissier, he ran like a winger, though. We'll get to that, too. Elwar Plissier, 7 tackles, 102 metres and 2 clean breaks for the ever active young French hooker there. So, Malcolm Matias we start with. Al?
Yeah, so it says plastic pitch karma, not flat track bullies, but fast track beasts. God, I can't say that. Hard season ahead for the Broncos.
David Cantrell says, awful performance from the Broncos, who were booed off the pitch at the end. We'd look good in the middle of the field, making plenty of ground, but to get within 10 metres and just throw it away, and defence was practically non-existent. Danny Ward will be tearing his hair out. I don't think he can. Jordan Abdul hospitalised by a really nasty late tackle that the disciplinary panel will no doubt look at. We'll do the other one first, and then we'll...
Yeah, because obviously Paul's got something to say about that as well. Yeah. So Paul Chamberlain says, let's ignore the fact London aren't good enough, etc., and concentrate on the main issue. What should be everyone's favourite expansion team are rapidly turning back into a bunch of dirty, cheating grub fuckers. After Willie Army, we now have Moet cynically decapitating London's only playmaker. Either McNamara is ignoring it or encouraging it. Both are disgraceful. As usual, the ref had the same balls as a eunuch.
Okay, so that's the big talking point. So before we talk about star players or nice things that happened in this game and that sort of stuff, we'll talk about that around the half-hour mark. Sam Mower, who was sin-binned for this dangerous late tackle on Jordan Abdul, who, as a result of that, suffered a bit of a whiplash injury to the neck, it seemed. Yeah. Was hospitalised. So, gave the all clear. Wasn't able to play on Monday, but gave the all clear in terms of his long-term health prospects after that, which is great to see. The Elwar Plissier was also sin-binned for retaliating. Now, I feel like when you've seen one of your players decked, your retaliation would have to be pretty violent for you to get sin-binned. So I sort of feel for him a little bit there. But my take on the incident, and I can do it without emotion, obviously, because I'm not a fan of either side, is the tackle wasn't as late as a lot of other tackles, you see. To me, it was late. It was marginally late. It was definitely late, though, and it was definitely forceful. I don't think he caught him above the shoulders, and the match review panel seemed to echo that as well. I just think it was so forceful that it shook Jordan Abdul so much that it got that sort of whiplashy kind of injury, I guess, and hit the floor hard as well, which isn't going to help his concussion situation either. So totally understand why a card was brought out for a late tackle that caused an injury, and I totally understand kind of the London fans' emotional reaction to it. But even when I first saw it, and Brian Carney was kind of giving it the big, this is an absolute disgrace on the Sky coverage, I was like, well, he didn't hit him high. He hit him across the chest, it looked like to me. It just was so forceful. So we have got to, it's maybe something that we do need to sort out and clear up what kind of game we want to see. But we're really torn, aren't we, in this sport, of really wanting to see the physicality and the big hits. And if Jordan Abdullah had kept hold of that ball rather than let it go, this would have been a fantastic big hit that everyone would have loved. It's just, it let the ball go. So it was late. So it was dangerous. And how close to that line do we want our players to take it? Like, how far do we want to go to take out the physicality? Jordan Abdul is a forward playing in the halfback positions, isn't he? In effect. But that shouldn't mean that he shouldn't be protected. Like, all players should be protected. It's just, I kind of think the right conclusion's been drawn.
Yeah.
I've seen later challenges that have resulted in no injury, and I've certainly seen higher challenges that have resulted in no injury, because this one it looked bad because of the force. I don't know how to really deal with it. I don't know if you've got a view on it.
I've got to say I'm a bit annoyed now because you've stolen exactly my point. So that's all right. Because much like yourself, obviously I wasn't watching this live. It was all social media outrage after the event that I saw, and I, same as you, I saw the little highlight on Sky, and the first time I saw it, I thought, oh, that's a big hit, but it didn't seem late, particularly to me, and therefore, because I was on Sky, I rewound it and managed to pause it, and when Abdul's got the ball in hand and the ball is clearly going to go out wide, Mo was already committed. He's already launching himself into him. So to me, the guy's committed, and I think it's an unfortunate injury, rather than it being something that is clearly malicious.
It's heavy and hard play.
It's a heavy contact, but I don't know.
It's totally dirty. It's hard. Well, there's a similar one that we'll talk about at the back end of the Wigan St Helens game as well. That prompted a very similar reaction from the Wigan fans, but also similar response from the match review panel. So, I
don't know. I'm kind of. We can't be dominated by the reactions of the outcome of a particular tackle. That can't decide whether something is foul play or not. And by the rule book, the punishment that was handed out, i.e. the yellow card, in-game punishment, and then the review, and I can't argue with the decision that's been made. I'm sorry, London fans, but to me, it's a very unfortunate incident, and I'm glad he's okay, and he's been out of hospital and everything. But to me, I'm sorry, that was not. It was not the worst tackle you would see this weekend. I'll talk. Go on.
I agree. I agree.
That's our trouble. We agree too much. We already talked about that.
Yeah, but look, I wouldn't want to be it like that. But I wouldn't want to be.
Me neither.
I wouldn't want Sam Mower to sort of brush past me in a bloody crowd watching a music concert or something. I think he'd knock me on the floor then. I'm I'm not built like these blokes who play this game. Okay, let's talk about some nicer things. Anyway, from the little I've seen of this and what I've read and stuff, Matt Whitley seemed to have some really nice touches in this one, playing out in the centres. It also seemed like a big thing in favour of Catalan, which London lost a little bit by Abdul going off, but also by just their makers of their squad, is that composed and experienced play from the makeshift half pair in that Catalans had put together of Sam Tompkins and Greg Bird. It seemed like that made a big difference for Catalans too. The highlight moments, probably the try of the game was probably Tompkins' try, because it came from range, and a lot of the other tries from the Dragons came not from range, and this one came from range, and there was loads of offloading, some of it a bit loose, but some of it quite crisp too, a bit of a mixture. But lots of Dragons players were in space and finding the ball and supporting each other, so that just looked really good. Although Greg Bird's really simple try that he scored where he had a clean path through, that probably emphasised the shape of the game a little bit more in terms of highlighting how the game came out. Every time the Dragons seemed to have the ball near the opponent's line, then it wasn't tough for them to score it seems like, whereas it was the exact opposite for London. They couldn't put something together and score. And then special mention for that Marchione try that I nearly took off him. He showed some great pace for his try, absolutely stormed through, so credit there to him. Okay, we're on to Friday. We're on to the Hull derby.
Onto the Hull derby, yep. So this was, so it finished Hull FC 56, Hull KR 12, just over 20,044 in attendance, and Ben Thaler was in charge. A lot more competitive at half-time, 18-12 to the Black and Whites. Again, lacking in team stats because of unusual players playing. But in terms of Hull FC, Jack Logan certainly had a day. 3 tries, 122 metres, 2 clean breaks. Mickey Payer, a try, 5 tackle busts, 124 metres. Albert Kelly, a try assist, 9 tackle busts, 126 metres and 2 clean breaks. Beretta Faraimo with 5 tackle busts, 191 metres and 2 clean breaks. For Hull KR, Craig Hall had a try assist, 6 tackle busts and 2 clean breaks. And Mitch Garbutt, why were you starting on the bench, 102 metres.
Paul Chamberlain said, half-decent game in both sides' annual Mickey Mouse Cup final. Really enjoyed Crooks cleaning out Sneyd, and clearly the incident warranted the same outcome as the Moa tackle. Thaler was generally abysmal. Now Hull have won, they can go back to obscurity and ignore actually trying to achieve something larger, like maybe trying to win the league for once.
Tom Andrews says, first of 2 from him, I'm going to put as much effort into my review as my team put into the game. Shite.
And then Tom did come back to say more of an observation than a review.
Stay away.
This is a fair one. The 0.1% of fans who think it's acceptable to throw bottles, pints and flares at each other, fuck off and never come back to a Hull KR or a Hull FC game again. Stop tarnishing our names. You have come to the game with the sole purpose of doing what you do. Hope you get smoked out and banned for life. Yeah,
fair enough. Paige says, what a beautiful Good Friday. Nice to finally put the Dobbins back down where they belong. Outclassed in the second half. Good old Nuggets luck, Kelly leading the way. Sad to see a minority of the Rovers fans ruining the match throwing bottles and flares. Made Tom watch the second half. Got to hear all these excuses and how hard done Rovers were. Thought he was going to cry, and I will definitely sleep well tonight. Hashtag Tim Sheen's out.
Joshua's granddad said, edged a scrappy first half, but the Dobbins couldn't cope with the old men in our pack, leaving Albert the Snake and Sneyd to carve them a new one. A hat-trick for Logan answered some of his critics. Champagne rugby at its best.
And Always in Our Shadow says, the Bobbins finally put firmly in their place. Wonder Rugby destroyed them. Albert, we got him on a free. He gave us a 40-minute performance reminding what they'd lost. Sneyd and Mint directing team round the park. Jake the Snake, impervious as usual. Pity about the scum element of their fans.
The Real Derby said, sent the Dobbins back to their side of the river. Hashtag Norval service resumed. Hashtag Always in Our Shadow. Hashtag the city is ours. They've not won a trophy since 1985.
Rich Langley says, never in doubt. 17 top-class players on show along with the KR team.